I'm not wasting any dreams this Christmas. I've made my wish upon that star. The only dream of which my list consists is to always be wherever you are. This year there will be no praying.
Good morning and welcome to Vlogmas Day 3 and to the weekly roundup. Just like last year, I am going to do weekly roundups during Vlogmas just because I know that some of you don't really care for the vlog style videos, but maybe you still want to catch up on my Advent making. I will make sure to mark it clearly in the description of the video so that you can see that this is in fact very much like a usual regular weekly podcast. Today is one of those precious quiet days where we don't have much to do. We have a dinner at my mother-in-law's tonight, but other than that, a little bit of laundry, a little bit of work, few chores, but loads of relaxing knitting and crochet time. So I have actually 5 projects that I want to share today. I have my 3 Advent projects. They're in this basket so that I can easily bring it around with me. And then I have 2 other projects, like little side gigs that I can pick up whenever I need them. And I'm actually going to start out with one of them. If you watched yesterday's Vlogmas, you know that in here is my Christmas sweater. I was hoping to finish it last night. That did not happen. But I came very, very close. Just look at this. A couple of rounds of ribbing to go. And then this one is off the needles, ready to be washed, blocked, so that I can wear it probably in the weekend. It's going to take a little while for it to dry, but that's going to be fine. I was actually thinking that since I am going to be blocking this one, I want to reuse that water. So I'm also going to wash my one of my Advent sweaters, my Jericho's Rose. That's long overdue, so I'm going to give that a little bath and some socks and stuff. So I will have a cozy time washing and blocking all of the knits. But first, obviously, I have to finish off. I think it's less than 5 rounds of ribbing. That is going to go by so fast. This is a modified version of the Old Timer Slipover, which is a pattern by Ina Rainbow. I have modified it, not a lot actually, because I love the original sweater, I love the fit. What I changed is I didn't do the colorwork bands on the chest and on the body. Instead, I just did a little round of reindeer here. I found this reindeer chart in one of the free drops patterns, and I am going to link both the old timer and the reindeer chart in the description box below. Originally, I wanted little Santas here, but all the Santa's charts that I could find were quite tall. A Santa just takes up more space than a reindeer, I guess. I didn't want something that was too tall here because as I wear this sweater, and I've talked about this over and over again, I have a ridiculously short torso. So if the color work comes up too far on a regular sized person, it would probably look okay. On me, I'm gonna look frumpy. It's gonna destroy the whole balance and drag me down. But these reindeers, because they're not a tall color work section, that is going to work absolutely fine, I am sure. The sweater is worked. It's sweater, vest, slip over, t-shirt, sweater, whatever you want to call it. It's a hybrid. It is worked top down. It is worked with a European shoulder. So you cast on for the neck, you work some increases, and then you pick up stitches for the front. You work the two fronts separately until you are past the neck opening, and then you continue working flat until you're past the sleeve openings. And from that point, it is just knitting around and around. You then pick up stitches for the sleeve, and I really love how it's done in the pattern. There's not an exact amount that you pick up. She just holds your hand. She suggests a pickup rate, but she says pick up so that it looks nice. And then adjust your stitch count on the first round, and she walks you through the entire process so that you get a really neat sleeve. And they are super short sleeves, which means that it's going to look beautiful over a shirt. But actually, I think for a lot of the Christmas parties, Christmas lunches, I'm going to use it on its own because typically it's so hot. You're a lot of people together, ovens are going, and there's candles everywhere. So I think short sleeves is probably going to serve me very, very well for this month. I did modify the neck band a little bit, and she also gives instructions in the pattern how to do that. This was originally designed with a rather wide boat neck, which is not a good look on me. So I decided to change it a little bit, go down a needle size. And also I did, and I'm going to show you up here. Can you see how the 2x2 ribbing in the side here, it goes into a knit 2, purl 1, knit 2. I did that on both sides just to help the ribbing lay flat against my neck rather than standing up. You can see on this one that I'm wearing here, the neckband sort of stands up. I didn't want that look for this one, so I just made sure that the circumference where I bind off is a little bit smaller than where I picked up the stitches. I am knitting this in Drops Air. That is a wonderful yarn for a project like this one. It's a big gauge. It's 16 stitches to 10 centimeters, and the Drops Air can easily be knit to that gauge. It's very lightweight and it's not too warm. It's a blow yarn. You can see here how the yarn is constructed as like a tube where fibers are blown into it. And that means that you get something that's very light and not too warm. It also means that as I wear this sweater, it is gonna become just slightly wider and shorter, where a superwash merino would typically become a little bit longer and tighter. The blow yarn works the opposite way. And that is just the nature of blow yarns, and it's not a problem as long as you know it. It did take me a while to figure out that that was what was going on. This was for many years one of my favorite yarns. And it did take me a while to figure out what's going on here. But now I know, and I take that into consideration as I knit my sweaters. But yeah, very soon to be finished. Very soon, this one is going to be resting in a nice, nice lukewarm bath. The other side project that I have is something that I haven't even cast on yet. Yesterday, when we were in Aarhus, we bought, Peter and I, some yarn for a pair of fingerless mitts for him. We bought this Navia that I haven't worked with this one before. It does also say limited edition. Yeah, limited edition. So maybe that's why. But it's a quite rustic yarn with just a little bit of fuss. I don't know if you can see it. It is a fussy yarn. I do suspect that as I knit with this, it will bloom a lot and maybe become even more fussy. I am gonna hold it together with this Bella by Pamine, which is, it's not a regular silk mohair, it's heavier and maybe with slightly less fuss, but I do believe that the two together are gonna be absolutely beautiful for fingerless mitts for Peter. I don't know when I'm gonna cast these on. I'm gonna get to them soon-ish because, well, it's right now that you're gonna need your fingerless mitts, and it shouldn't be too much of a commitment to knit those up. So that is definitely something that I will be doing soon. I don't think I'm gonna be using a pattern. I'm probably gonna be using my CDCO 24 pattern to work the increases for the thumb gusset and just for shaping the thumb. But I'm not going to add the braid, and also that pattern is a much tighter gauge than what I'm going to be working with here. But I'm going to measure his hands and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to fudge it. It's going to be fine. For my Advent projects, I have three. I have socks, I have a blanket, and then I have an Advent sweater, my amaryllis. Actually, yesterday I was wearing my amaryllis. Today I am wearing the hyacinth, which is also one of my Advent patterns. On this one, you use all of your Advent yarns in these bands. I used a lot of leftovers. I pulled all my pink, orange, red, purple leftovers, and I used those for this one. I also knit one with an actual Advent. I'm gonna wear that one of the days. But because you hold both the main color and the Advent yarns, you hold it together with a mohair, that is going to help the colors blend together so nicely so that you get the joy of your Advent yarns, but you don't, how do I say this? You don't look like a painter forgot his palette on your sweater. The one that I did make with an actual Advent, the stripes are different. I don't recall the exact order, but I think one stripe is pinkish, one is yellowish, one is bluish. And that was pretty easy. I simply, as I opened my Advent, I checked the colors. Sometimes I would wait another day to see if a color that would fit the band I was working on better, and it turned out really, really nice. But yeah, let's take a look at the Christmas patterns. My socks, my knitted socks. I finished sock number 1. That's been a while. I am now past the heel on sock number 2, so I have a lot of easy in the round knitting, which is fine. We're going out tonight, as I said, and tomorrow we're probably going to go see a movie. And I suspect that the sock will be finished during that movie. But yeah, I want to wear these. I think they're so pretty. These are worked from a pattern that only comes in Danish. But if you can knit a vanilla sock, you can get the pattern just to get the chart. Because how cute is that? I did modify them slightly. In the original, the cuff is a little bit shorter, the leg is longer, and you have 2 repeats of the colorwork chart. But I don't like my socks to be too tall. I don't like the colorwork to disappear down into my shoes. So I decided one repeat of the colorwork chart would work better for me. I am using the yarn, the designer's own yarn. She has her own yarn line. She's called Knitwear by Maki. The yarn is Maki Strømpegarn sock yarn, and it is a 75-25 untreated wool, which means that it is, for me, a lot easier to work with than a superwash treated wool. I just think the stitches, they're just easier. And it's not a disaster if you drop a stitch. It'll wait for you patiently until you come back and pick it up. And as you're doing the color work, it's also easier to do color work in a rustic yarn. I have mentioned this before, I will say it again. When I work color work in such a short circumference, I prefer the teeny tiny 9-inch circulars because carrying floats across a magic loop, I think, is kind of difficult. It's fiddly. Also, I turn the socks inside out so that I knit from the inside. I still knit, but I have the wrong side showing, which means that the floats have to travel a longer distance, so they are less likely to be too tight or to pull on your finished sock. So yeah, hopefully that sock is gonna be finished within a couple of days so that I can start wearing them. Another Christmas or Advent project is, of course, my blanket, my crochet blanket that I make using an Advent that I packed for myself. I packed 24 of these little pouches with all sorts of leftover fingering weight yarn. I did do quite a lot of color management as I was packing the Advent, and I do absolutely no color management now. I open up the color of the day, I crochet it in. When it's done, and most days I have actually also added in some scraps after. It's just going to be very, very scrappy, very simple. It's going to use up a lot of my leftovers. And because I managed the colors when I was packing up the Advent, it's still going to be a coherent blanket. I am holding the fingering weight scraps or leftovers with a mohair, a rather thick mohair. I am using either this, which is a cone that it's not going to get me to the end of this blanket, but I also bought some tops, brushed alpaca silk, and the two are almost identical. I did change during the crochet. So I started out down here with drops alpaca silk, and then somewhere in this white section I changed over to the mohair, and you can't tell. You simply cannot tell. They are so alike. Maybe the drops alpaca silk is a little bit softer to the touch. Maybe. And I'm not sure. But yeah, my crochet blanket. It is bringing me so much joy. I am using the mini granny stitch, and that is just a little bit more fiddly than a regular granny stitch. It's not as fast to work, but it is so satisfying because it gives me exactly the blanket that I want. A blanket with drape, a soft blanket, but not a blanket with big holes. I don't like big holes in blankets, but also I don't want my blankets to be too tight and stiff. I think that this mini granny stitch, it's the solution for me for sure. It's also easier to work than if I was just doing half double crochet or single crochet, because I am not crocheting into individual stitches. I am crocheting into these little spaces between clusters. The only difference between this and the regular granny stitch is that you work 2 half double or half treble crochets rather than 3 double or treble crochets. So that is the only difference. Everything else is exactly like a usual regular granny stitch, and it is flowing and I love it. I was talking on day 0 about how I, for the first time in my life, experienced a too tight starting chain, something that never happens to me. My starting chains are always going to be too loose, so my blanket is going to be nice and even, except for the first couple of centimeters where you will have a not so pleasant looking ripple effect. I did fix it, as I also explained in Vlogmas Day 0, but one of you wrote to me, you should try the foundation chain. And that is so true. That is so true. I should try that. I have heard about it. Of course I have. YouTube is overflowing with tutorials. I don't know if that's just if that is just me who gets all of these, but I have seen many a tutorial on the foundation starting chain. I don't know. Every time I've been about to start a blanket, I've been like, oh, I could do that. But then again, will it work? And I'll have to pull up a tutorial and learn a new skill. Oh, I don't know. Next time, for sure, next time I am doing that, because it is definitely going to be the solution to the problems that I have with my starting chain. Let us see. Yeah, that will actually bring us to the last project, which is my amaryllis. And it is living in a project bag that is not a Christmas bag per se, but I find it so Christmassy. And it really matches my home, right? I love this. My friend Bidden made it for me, and yeah, I'm very lucky to have someone like that in my life. I love this bag. In here are still no amaryllis. There's yarn. There's even more yarn than there was a couple of days ago, because while in Aarhus, I bought just a couple of balls extra that I thought, oh, they would go in very well. It's these 3 that I got. Other than those, I have I have so much yarn in here. I also have these colors. So plus I have the black and the white for the checkered border, and I have the main color for the ribbing. So I should get going, and that is exactly what I'm going to do today. As soon as my old-timer slipover is resting in a nice bath, I'm going to cast this one on. I have the needles in here, both for the ribbing and the main needle. I have my notions pouch. I have the cute little piggy stitch stoppers. I'm just gonna go like this. They are so cute. I have everything ready and I am gonna cast this on today. I will see you later and hopefully show you how my amaryllis is flying off the needles. I now have my old-timer / Christmas sweater blocking. It's gonna be perfect. I can't wait to wear this thing. And since I had the wool wash, I also fixed my socks and my Jericho's rose. That was way overdue. But as I laid this one out flat to dry, I remembered what I don't like about this sweater. I don't like the embroidered flowers. I love them on my other version, but here they kind of look like spiders. So I actually think that when this sweater is dry, I am gonna pick out the little spider flowers. We are back home again, well fed. We went to Peter's mom for dinner and Christmas cookies, and we had a lovely evening. I got to work a little bit on my amaryllis. It's not a lot, it's kind of slow going here in the beginning. The ribbing is worked on rather small needles, and it does look tiny. I was reminded how it looks tiny, the neckline, when you work it, and you're like, what? How is this ever gonna fit over my head? But it is gonna fit over my head, for sure it is. And the fact that it is knit on such a tight gauge actually helps it to keep the structure, to keep the integrity of the sweater. It's a very heavy, big colorwork sweater that this little piece of ribbing has to carry. So that is why it is so tiny when you're working it. I do think that I'm gonna let it rest for the night. I think I wanna crochet on my blanket. I wanna put in the color of today. I'm in the mood for some crochet. But before I leave you, I want to show you something. This morning I was, and I think you saw that already, I was putting these cloves, I think they're called cloves, into a mandarin. I have been doing this since I was a little girl. We would make all sorts of patterns, like stripes and circles and stuff, and they would be good for that Christmas. They would smell lovely, they would fill up the house with the smell of Christmas, and they would look pretty for the season, but not beyond that. I later discovered that if you put them all over, like I did on this one, the mandarin is actually gonna dry up and they're gonna look like this. I love these. I think they just, yeah, to me, this is Christmas. This is very Christmassy. This one has just the teeniest scent left I remember when I was doing a big set of them many years ago, and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna then make a couple every year, and then after a couple of years, I will discard of the oldest ones. But you know, I've never had to. The clothes seem to keep them fresh and almost still smelling good. In the beginning, I would stuff them really, really full, like maybe 50% more than I have with this one. But I have found that they shrink and the clothes will become tighter. And it's actually pretty hard on the fingers doing this, but I need to make one or two every year just to have the smell of Christmas. And with that, I am going to leave you for the night. I'm gonna go crochet on my blanket. I'm gonna watch a Christmas movie. I hope that you are enjoying this beautiful season too, and I hope to see you tomorrow.